There are women out there who'll claim, I want a leader. What they really want is they want a guy who will jump when the woman says jump. They want a guy who will do everything that she wants him to do.
I have to work really hard to always try and make him make the decision, if that makes sense.
Let's say that your hubs comes in today and go, hey, I haven't been leading like I ought to. I'm going to take over this, and this. What's your reaction to that? Do you really let go?
Yeah.
Or, hey, honey,
Oh, that's easy for a woman to say, oh, yeah, I'll let go. And then depending upon her personality, that may or may not be what she really wants. What I sometimes think that women want, not all women, but I think some women, what some women really want is they want to be the boss of the household. And part of that boss control that they want to be the queen bee. And part of that boss control is they want the guy to do everything they want them, that they request of them to do. And if the guy doesn't do everything that the wife wants him to do, then she sees him as being a weak leader. But she will misinterpret, either intentionally or maybe she's not even aware of it, when some, I'm not saying all women, okay? But there are women out there who'll claim, I want a leader. What they really want is they want a guy who will jump when the woman says jump. They want a guy who will do everything that she wants him to do. It's kind of like those type of relationships with, what's his is hers and what's hers is hers. It's kind of the same thing. So if she happens to be with a husband who won't just jump at her beck and call, then she sees him as weak. Yeah. Chew on that one, people.
We're going to eat here tonight. And you go, great.
Yeah.
So
I don't say great, but I would say sure, or I would say like...
Hold on, Mary. Can I jump in as a guy who's been married 25 years? If Stacy says sure to me, I have a follow-up question. Every time. John, am I right?
This is a type of women, these type of women are what I call, what is it they call them? Passive-aggressive. Sure is a passive-aggressive move. See, here's the thing. And in my 56 years old, I've read about relationships. I've been in relationships. I've seen relationships. I've done the whole 9 yards, okay? And Stacy, just from what I gather, okay, just from hearing her tone and the way she speaks and the authority style that she, comes across with, okay, I don't think she really wants a guy to be in charge. Because I think she says, oh yeah, I'd have no problem letting that go. Oh, baloney, she would. She'd have a huge problem. Like I said, what she really wants is a guy who will jump when she says jump, and at the same time also lead. But there's kind of that collar, there's kind of that leash. It's like, when you take a dog for a walk. No, I'm not equating men to dogs, okay? No, not even close. But you take a dog for a walk. The dog thinks he's leading, right? The dog thinks he's leading you, but really, you're leading him. Stacy wants a man who thinks he's leading, okay? Takes on the role, he's leader. But really what she also wants is she wants a guy that she can control the leash. This is my first impression of her in the minute and 42-second call we've had. It's just my first impression. And of course, I always leave plenty of room and reservation to be wrong. But I don't think I am.
Hey, can we eat here?
Sure. Then I go, well, where would you... My immediate reaction to that from Stacy is...
where do you want to eat?
Where would you like to eat?
Yeah.
See, that's the passive-aggressive.
Am I right?
So,
okay.
Hey, Mary,
sure, yes.
let me ask you this.
I would say I would love to. If he's offering to take me out to eat, then I would say yes to whatever he wants.
Okay, paint me... I want.
Yeah, that's easy to say that because the situation doesn't actually occur. But why do I think if Miss Stacy doesn't like it, it's going to be like, no, we're not going there. She wants him to man up when it's convenient for her. And then she wants to lead when it's also convenient for her. That's what she wants. I'm telling you, that is what she wants.
I want you to step back a little bit. the word lead means something different to everybody. Paint me a picture of what leadership, what you want from him specifically. Give me 2 or 3 things. Very specifically, you would like him to take the lead on and let you fully exhale in your home. What is it?
Oh, I'm dying to hear this.
Finances for sure.
Okay. What does that mean? Him go make more money, or he pays the bills?
We are going shopping. We are going shopping on Saturday. This is how much we have. Could you please maybe get a list together for me of what you think is missing or what we should be
did you hear that? Did you hear that? Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, family, she's really leading. We're going shopping on Saturday. Would you get a list for me? Now, I may have jumped, so I might have to backpedal. I'm assuming she's asking him to get the list. If she's ordering him, she don't want a leader. I may have jumped too soon. Let's find out.
So you want him to make the shopping list and go do the shopping?
He doesn't have to make the list, but just basically making a plan and committing to it.
Okay.
The dog thinks he's leading the owner on a walk, but in reality, the owner is leading the dog on the walk. This woman wants the man to live in this little pretend world that he's the boss, but really the commands are going to come from her. You know, if you wonder how come I know this stuff, because you see, at 56, I've been in different types of relationships. I've seen different types of relationships. Oh, hell, I've watched Netflix for 10 years, okay? She's really not that hard to figure out, to be perfectly honest. And if you're willing to keep a really open mind, okay, that's what she wants. She wants to be able to say, you know, hey, we're going shopping, give me a list. And then he's supposed to take it in a timely manner. Really what she wants is she wants someone who will do things on her time under the guise of leadership, under the guise of he's leading. But really the time frame is what she wants. It may just be that the guy just don't want to do what she wants. And I hate to remind wives of this, but nothing says they have to jump just because you say so. Nothing says it has to be a priority just because the wife thinks it should be. I think sometimes wives can get a little bit dictatorial when it comes to dealing with men in their lives. It's just my opinion. For some reason, there tends to be a social thought that, you know, what is that stupid phrase or something like that? It's not like if the woman's not happy, no one's happy. I say BS to that. I've lived under that, by the way. Okay. Growing up to some extent, you know, if mom's not happy, no one's happy. Crap to that. I don't believe in that. Those relationships can shove it. I've never believed that. I've never believed that just because the woman isn't happy and thinks that, you know, her husband should exist to make her happy. Right? I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Or if he says that we're going to do something as a family, then being like, okay, this is what we need to budget for it. This is when I want it to happen.
I wonder how often he has tried to make plans and she steps in with her own plans and she expects to overwrite it. Just a thought. I could see a guy like this totally laying out and she goes, oh, well, that's not going to work. We need to do it like this. Something transcended over time in the relationship where he may have just gone, screw it. You do it. You don't like the way I lead. You don't like the way I do it. You do it. But this is like boiling a frog in water. I think that's one of the experiments. No, please don't do it. Okay. I've read about it, you know, in science and stuff like that. Okay. The frog will just sit there. Okay. Till it like kills itself. Well, maybe the husband don't want to be a frog. And over time, he just finally said, this water's getting too dang hot. I'm jumping out. You run it. I would be willing to guarantee you, if you could be a fly in the wall, I don't know how long they've been together. Don't know what age that they got together at. Okay. All, of course, which play factors in it. But something happened for him to just basically decide, I'm not going to lead. Okay. Maybe he would have been an alpha. Okay. But I don't think she'd really be happy with it, with an alpha male. Be really honest. Okay. I don't think that's what she really wants. But there, somewhere along the line in the relationship, he may have just gone, screw it. You know, every time I try to do something, you override it with your decisions. Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of just
What's the next thing? What's another picture of leadership that you have?
knowing that, let's say I need to work so many hours in a week, or
Oh, Jesus Christ. She sounds like she's looking not for a husband, but a freaking employee.
he needs to work so many hours in a week, and then like making that happen.
Oh, Jesus. Oh. Ah. This tea is not very tasty tonight, family. This tea is not tasty. I'm not liking this tea. I'm not liking it. It's hot, but I don't like the taste of it. Remember? I just said, it sounds like she needs an employee, and then she goes on, rattles off the hours. What the hell does this woman do? Okay, husband, you're not manning up because you see, this week, I cleaned the toilets and the sink and the shower stall. Now, I've spent an hour here cleaning, and you've only put in 15 minutes. So according to my records, you know, you're supposed to be the leader. You should be doing more. This is a family, mark my words. I'm beginning to get a picture. Now, remember, I'm going with my life experience, all right? My life experience. My life experience where the mother ruled the roost, all right? This is a tit-for-tat woman. This is a woman who will keep score. This is a woman who will keep score on everything she's done compared to what you've done. No, the relationship did not start out like that. I'm sure it did not. But over time it did. And why did it do that? Because over time, I'm not going to say she became a nag, okay? But over time, something happened. The dynamics in the relationship got to the point where he chose perhaps not to lead. Has she, little Miss Mary in Detroit, Michigan, has she ever considered that? That maybe the husband said, you're not the type of wife I want to lead? Ah, you see, sometimes wives forget that. It's not that the man can't lead. He may just not want to lead you. Or in this case, her.
Or we need to sell these things in the house. Okay, this Saturday we're going to spend 4 hours just going through this room and putting stuff on.
What happens if he doesn't want to do that? What happens if he says, I'm not interested in doing that? What are you going to do about it? Scream, yell, throw a fit, throw crap around the house? Yeah, I've seen that too. Hey, I was a kid once. What are you going to do about it? Exactly. Throw a temper tantrum till you get your way?
You're not talking about leadership. You're talking about, like, you want someone to be engaged in your marriage and in your life.
She doesn't want a leader. She wants a patsy that she can lead, that will jump when she says jump, that runs a relationship to her level of satisfaction. She doesn't really want an us team. She wants a do it my way team. And when my way requires you to lead, then I want you to do it. But when I don't want you to lead anymore, pull that leash back in. Yeah. If I were a guy, I wouldn't want to be married to someone like this. It's just my personal thoughts, my personal opinion. Yay.
Yeah, I want to do
Okay.
a follow-up. Let's go back to the second one. He tells me he knows how many hours he needs to work, and he does it. That, to me, we got
That's an employer. She's a wife wanting an employee.
deep pretty quick there. That tells me, unless I misunderstood, that tells me he's not being proactive, or at least you don't think he's being proactive in working as much, i.e. making as much money as he could be.
Okay, this is my pet peeve on the Ramsey show. And I don't have a whole lot of pet peeves for this show. But this is one of my pet peeves. They're constant jumping on the guy, assuming he's the lazy person, assuming he's not working hard enough, assuming he's not working long enough. Now, family, you know, I pretty much speak my mind on this. And if I really think a guy is being lazy, and I think we have the evidence to prove it, Okay, yeah, I'll tell you, being lazy, buddy. You know, you make 25, 30,000 a year, you might need to up that. Okay? We don't have any evidence except her freaking phone call. That's all the evidence we have. This would be one of those calls where you really need to get the other side. Let's hear the other side. How many times has he tried to take control, take the lead, and she's overridden it because she didn't like it?
Is that correct or am I wrong?
No, like he works.
Here they are assessing whether or not he works long enough hours. How much money does he make? How much money has he been making it? How many kids do they have? How many hours a week does he work? How many hours a week does she work? What type of money does she bring in? We're basically sitting around having a slam session over this poor dude who's not even here to defend himself. Oh, cry.
Like he works a full-time job, and he was working
And what does she do?
an evening job because like we really, really need the income. But we decided that I make more money per hour than he does, and my work is pretty flexible. Like I work at part-time for an accounting firm, but I could work as many hours as I want in the evenings. So we had made the decision that he was going to put in his 2 weeks at his evening job, and then I would work in the evening.
Okay, and now you're hating on him because you don't think that's sexy?
But it keeps turning into, oh, hey, can we do this first? Or, oh, hey, this needs to be done. And I feel like I don't want to be like, okay, I'm ready to walk out the door as soon as he gets home, and I just leave.
Now she knows how the men feel. Now she knows how a whole lot of men feel. Yeah. It's not as easy as it seems, is it, right? You got the wife at home saying, do more, do more, do more. Meanwhile, you're working day, you're working night. Then you agree that, okay, just the husband's going to go to work. She's going to stay at home. And then she's nagging as to why you're not. Yeah, Miss Mary. Now you know how the men feel.
I feel like that's rude.
Okay, and here's what you've said multiple times. I feel. And I'm speaking on his behalf. You haven't sat down and said, hey,
Hey, you haven't sat down, quietly taken his hand and said, I'm scared. I don't feel safe. Thumbs up.
lied to me.
We have those conversations.
Okay, all right. Or
We do.
I feel like
No. She has the conversations and expects him to listen to what she has to say.
you're completely unengaged in this marriage and in this house.
How do we know this? Do we have evidence and proof? You see, when my parents were married, they've been divorced for decades. If you had just heard it, God rest her soul, but if you had just heard it from my late mother's side of the call, this is what you would have heard. You'd have heard something very similar to this. Very similar. But you wouldn't have heard the husband's side. Yeah.
Unintentional.
Yeah.
Right? You're married to a child and you're
We don't know that. If you had listened to the courts, you would have believed that my mother would have been the better parent for 4 girls. Somebody should have asked the 4 girls. There is so much BS in this call. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't give me childhood drama again. It's these type of calls that really eat at me, because the assumption is we have this poor innocent little woman. She's just trying so hard to make life work, and she's got this mean, horrible man that's just not doing his part. If he would just do more for chores, if he would just work harder, just work longer hours, just make more money, he could be the man that she actually wanted, when the problem is actually her. She's the problem. She's the problem. Not him. She's the problem. Now, family, those of you who have watched this channel regularly, and almost the nearly 200 commentaries I've done on the Dave Ramsey Show, I will put blame where I genuinely think blame lies when there is evidence of wrongdoing. When I believe in my gut hunch that there's something wrong. And I believe in my gut hunch. Okay? And it doesn't matter if it's the man or the woman. But in calls like this, let's just pretend we were a court. Let's just pretend we are a circuit court, family court. And we go with her story. He is unfit to be a father. But the one mistake is, did you ask the kids if they're old enough? Did you interview the father? I think part of this is she regrets the decision to have him not go to work. See, she was riding high. I guarantee it to you. It's one point in the marriage, because I said earlier, she's a tit for tat person. Guaranteed. This woman is a tit for tat. This is the woman that's going to keep score. I promise you. She felt that she was all up at the top because she makes more than he does. All right. And so she's like, you stay home, I'm going to go to work. And that's wonderful. That's logical even. That's logical. I even agree with it. I've known stay-at-home dads. That's awesome. Wonderful. Whatever. Okay. But because the plan didn't quite turn out the way she wanted, and how it made her feel about herself, or whatever her personal issues are, now he's not good enough. Now he's not a leader. But somewhere along the line, she apparently bought into, hey, I'll go to work, you stay at home. So my thought to her is, you see, now she knows what men go through. Now she knows the experience that they go through. Maybe she can have a little empathy.
You were tired of being his mom too. Fair?
Maybe he was tired of being her daddy. And said, you apparently want to lead. The yellow brick road is all yours. See, we are taking so much of the woman's side. So God love the Ramsey Show, but this is where they truly, they just get into that rabbit hole of we believe the woman. We believe the woman. Behold the woman.
Right, I don't want to be.
Yes. Okay.
Bull.
I don't think that's my job.
Bull.
You're exactly right.
And every time I try and step back.
And now here come the tears. Because remember, the little woman is not happy.
We are all of a sudden 3 months behind in rent. Or we have...
Why is that just his fault? What is she doing to help? Family, how many calls have we taken where the family is behind on rent, but the two parties won't both really work to get themselves out? If she really wants to get herself out of this debt, instead of keeping score with the man, she perhaps needs to see some things from his perspective. And that probably needs to be addressed and discussed. But something tells me that she won't be open enough to look at things from his perspective. So he just one day, and of course it's never just one day, you just wake up and do it, but it's just simply over time. He just goes, you know what? Cheaper to keep her. Okay, but I'm just going to let it go.
Our account's been overdrawn for days in a row, and it's like, where did the money go? Oh, you're supposed to be working. Oh, but you asked, so I keep trying to work more, but we also have two young.
Now you know how the men feel. When we constantly tell men, well, just go work another job, just go work more hours. And we have stay-at-home wives that refuse to go to work, even though they can see that the house is sinking. We see the ship is sinking. Tell the husband to go do more work. Right?
Young kids.
Yeah. Have you sat down with him and said, "Honey, I am scared. To my bone."
Thank you. That was perfect. I couldn't have timed that better if I tried. Look, it's not saying I don't feel for this woman and the predicament they're in. It's just having been raised with someone who, a woman who ruled the roost, a husband, my father, who I always believed was never given the credit that he deserved. Now you see where my perspective comes from. I don't buy the tears and the crying and all that crap quite as easily as maybe some people do. I just don't buy it. Not saying it's not valid. Not saying she may not even have some valid complaints. What I am saying is there are women who will claim that they want someone to take charge. What they really want is someone who will simply do what they want when they want it. That's what they want. This is what this woman wants. I deeply believe that. I accept I could be wrong, but that's the fun of commentary. We never quite know.
Phones.
After the
And what does he say?
After the live stream,
What does he say?
he apologizes,
Okay.
and then we have this.
Of course, because it's easier to apologize and sound like you're listening when they're going, I've heard this 100 times. Hell, I'll apologize just to let you have me. Can I go to bed now? I'm tired.
Same conversation.
What do you know
once a
about
week
his
about.
What do you know about his background? What
Shouldn't this have been asked at the beginning?
what do you think? Tell John what you think is
He's
going
just been
on
his
with him.
mom running his life.
Gotcha.
He grew up with his mom running his life.
This is the first time we've heard about his mother. This is the first time. Okay.
So we could say, and I'm not trying to hang something on this guy, but we're talking to his wife, John.
You're already hanging everything on him, dearest Ken.
Right.
Is it immaturity? I feel like
Right.
this is an extremely immature situation.
What has she proven in this call that shows he's immature? What I get from this call is, I don't like my husband very much. He doesn't do things the way I want him to do things. He should be sitting down. We should be able to log like an employee the number of hours he works. This is the first thing I've heard about his dear mother. Okay, what does she do? Does she interfere with the budget? Does she come over and try to control the kids? Does she not return them on time when she babysits them because she thinks you guys are unfit parents? Now it's not the husband who's good enough, it's also his mother. Now, we have had calls, family, where we have a mama's boy, and there seems to be pretty good evidence that's a mama's boy, and we don't like that. All right? At least not on this channel. But we have really good supplemental evidence, supporting evidence to show that, yep, that seems like a mama's boy. Just a woman saying something, just a wife saying something, just a girlfriend saying something does not make it so. Really?
Yes. And where I have no compassion for him, like just as a guy who works really hard to be a good husband and be a good dad and to work really hard at my job.
Why would you not have compassion for him, dear John? What has she proven? Seriously, all I've heard is, I don't like my husband, I don't like my husband. But and again, like I said, I've listened to a couple hundred calls. I'm looking for the proof. I'm looking for the part of me that goes, yep, he's definitely a screw up. I haven't found it yet. As a matter of fact, if anything, all I've heard is he's done what she suggested. She makes money. She makes more money. They had decided, they agreed she'd go to work, yada, yada. Just because it didn't pan out the same way that she thought it would. Maybe he just doesn't want to be her husband any longer. And that may be something that she needs to face.
Like I get not having compassion there. On the other side, I have great compassion for a guy who simply opens up his toolkit to help out when he has a wife saying, I'm scared, I need your help. And he looks in his toolkit and there's no tools in there.
Yeah.
And how many husbands have gone to their wives? The husbands are working themselves to the bone. They have a stay-at-home wife and they finally say, wifey, I'm scared. We need to get out of this debt. I need your help. And she goes, let me look up the latest pizza delivery job for you.
And that's why the reason I asked you to be very specific is this doesn't feel sexy. It doesn't feel romantic. It doesn't feel like Hollywood said it was. It doesn't feel like The Notebook. But he may need some very clear guidance. I need
Well, he's got the boss of a wife to do it.
you to do this.
Yeah.
She's already done that, John. She's already done that list for him. And from what I gather, it's a rather lengthy list. Perhaps she can put some stars at the end of the week if he does everything to her satisfaction. Those little sticky stars that you can put on your hands for kids and stuff. Oh, you got the gold star this week. Here's your list of chores. Here's the number of hours you're supposed to work. The guy probably feels deballed by this point. I mean, if I were a guy, seriously, this woman could deball a man and then go, well, I just don't understand how come he doesn't act all manly and lead.
And if you've already done that and he looked at you, and you remember, behavior's a language. If he either said these words or acted these words, I don't really care. What makes you feel safe? I don't really care. I'm not going to do that. Then you have to stop doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result. You have to choose reality. And reality is, I am married to a guy that does not care about his wife.
And his reality may be, I'm married to a woman who's just too dang bossy for me, who doesn't appreciate or see the efforts that I do put in. And all she's concerned about is how much of paycheck I bring home. All she's concerned about is if I'm working sun up to sun down, part-time jobs and weekends. All she's concerned about is what she gets out of the relationship. She doesn't notice anything that I do. Hey, goes two ways.
Or his kids. He cares about...
And that's what's going on in his brain, possibly when he thinks about her. In other words, this just might not be a match.
Yeah.
And
well, he lives more like by his emotions. So like if we have a conversation or like I have a breakdown in front of him.
Oh God, the woman's breakdown. Look, again, it's not that I'm not sensitive to these things. I've just lived a different experience, so I see it in a different light. That's all.
And he has a conversation, then he apologizes. And
of course he's going to apologize. What's he going to say? I'm not apologizing. You'll keep the poor man up all night yabbering away. He just wants to sleep every now and then.
He goes into what I call like the puppy dog stage.
Yep.
And she goes into the crying stage. Between the two, they got a kennel.
Where he's like nervous about everything he says.
Well, and that's why I started.
Well, yes, I'd be nervous about everything I said if I've got some woman who's going to sit there and she got a little checkboard. Okay, I'm looking for that gold star, but nothing that I say or do is going to get me that gold star. I'd give up too after a while.
This whole
really
call,
hard for
I started
like
this whole
24
call.
hours.
I started the whole call asking you: is he allowed to lead in his own home?
Depends upon what the boss says. Depends upon what the boss says.
Do you live by your emotions too? And leadership for you means you never feel scared or uncomfortable or sad or tired.
And if she's expecting that from a guy, the woman is absolutely delusional and unrealistic, because you can't put that type of expectation on someone and say, you know what, your job is to make sure I never feel scared, I'm never uncomfortable, I'm never tired, my belly is always full, my bank account is always full, and the kids are always perfect. You put that on a man? Are you kidding me? You have got to be crazy if you think that is the guy's job in your life. That's not. Good Lord. I wouldn't want that job if someone stuck that job on me. Carrie, your job as my wife is to make sure I'm never uncomfortable, I'm always happy, my bank account is always full. I mean, come on, seriously, that is pure ass delusion. If any woman thinks that her man is going to be able to provide all of that and then some, that's not humanly possible. No wonder this poor guy can't get a break.
Because if that's what leadership is for you, it doesn't exist.
Snaps for me. John, thank you. Because, if that's what you were going to say, I was going to lose so much respect for you. Oh, thank you, John. Thank you. I was getting worried there because I was afraid John was going to say that's what it is. And I'm like, oh my God. Then I was going to have to take John by the hand and go, John, I think I'm in danger. I don't feel safe. This woman wants it all. Just her way.
If you
I'm
talking,
sorry, I don't understand what you're asking.
Really? You see, when you have to see something from the guy's perspective, now she don't understand. But when it's from her perspective, she gets everything. You see, it's her inability to think from the guy's perspective. I got it just fine. Apparently I did. I was able to give myself snaps afterwards. I got it just fine seeing it from the guy's perspective. No miscommunication there. And now she's going to play, I just don't understand it now. Yeah, because it's from a perspective that's not hers.
I'm saying if leadership means I want a man that I never feel sad or scared or worried about money or frustrated or tired.
Or have to give up my stay-at-home job to go back to work because we're broke.
That's not leadership. That's fantasy. It's not real.
Oh,
if you
right.
want
I understand.
a co-parent and a co-partner, if you want that, and you want him to take the lead on some things, yeah, man, that's all in. You got to be very, very specific. And if he looks at you and says, "I can't do this," and tell him, "I don't want a puppy dog. I don't want. Oh, I'm okay."
Yes, she does.
I'm asking you. I need you to do these things, and then if he chooses not to, then you have to live in that reality.